Alright guys, hello. And it's time for another one of our Slant Alpha adventures, and I do thank you for joining us. Exciting times in the sim world. I wasn't sure. There was conflicting reports as to whether X-Plane had officially updated from 11.26 to 11.30. And, well, guess what? They have. And guess what else? I didn't have time to update it, so you're still looking at 11.26 for right now. However, for tomorrow's stream, you can bet that we'll get up and running in 11.3. So that'll be the big project for tomorrow. And so 24 hours from now, you should see us running on 11.3. And tomorrow is going to be kind of a cool flight. We're going to do some flying wild in Alaska, in the AeroWorks DC-3. I haven't done an Alaska flight on stream in about 4 months, and the last one we actually did in FSX, and actually ran into a few problems as we did too. So I think we'll give it a shot in X-Plane, see if it goes any better, and I expect some of the issues that we ran into back in September were related to magnetic variation updates and things that had happened in the last 13, 14 years since the scenery was created for FSX. X-Planes is a little bit more current, so things should align the way they are supposed to, and we'll see tomorrow. For tonight, doing some flying in the Midwest, and in the matter of fact, we're doing not just Midwest, but Midway. We're going to do, we'll join up with a VATSIM Chicago ARTCC event that's going on right now, and it looks like there's a moderate amount of traffic going in and out of O'Hare, and not too much going on at Midway at the moment. But we're going to kind of join in this before it becomes a colossal mess. Now, the other thing that's kind of going on for me, that's behind the scenes, is that in my area, which is over here in Baltimore, we're getting kind of a snow event. So I might need to get called away for a work call. I work in the transportation industry, and we might have to make some adjustments to our service that's on the road right now. So if that happens, I shouldn't have to duck away for any longer than I would for like a quick bathroom break or something like that. Howdy, Twisted X 992. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you checking in. So yeah, if I get called away, probably just the usual thing where I'll mute the mic for just a couple minutes and let you guys know that I'll be back ASAP. But hopefully, if that goes on, it wouldn't be more than just a couple minutes for a quick phone call. All right, so let's get started with our flight. This first leg is going to be from Madison, Wisconsin, KMSN, down to Midway, Chicago Midway. Twisted X says, ever fly using SimBuddy? Nope, I have not looked into that one. So what's the, give me the quick rundown on that. I definitely will check it out. So here we are in Madison, and we're going to join, our route starts at this VOR right here at the airport. We're going to hit Victor 9. We're going to come down here to this VOR, Janesville, and then we'll join Victor 24 eastbound to over yonder, which is called Northbrook. Once we're at Northbrook, or once we're approaching Northbrook, we're into the Chicago Class Bravo, and we will be vectored in, I'm sure, to Midway, and we'll be vectored around the traffic flows coming in and out of O'Hare. So I'm not too concerned about the exact path that we'll take from Northbrook to Midway. That will be up to the Chicago approach controllers. So Twisted says, SimBuddy allows you to fly or create your own little VA company, even revenue during flights, purchase hubs and aircraft, and have other pilots join you. Okay, it sounds, I tell you what, if I was going to get into something like that, to be quite honest, it would probably be FS Economy, which sounds kind of like it's the same thing. The only reason I say that I would do that and not look into SimBuddy would be because I have a lot of friends, online friends, who already do FS Economy. Bunch of folks that I work with over in the Washington, D.C. virtual ARTCC and VATSIM. A bunch of them are in FS Economy. A bunch of guys that I was in a virtual flight school with do FS economy. So it sounds pretty similar. I mean, maybe you can kind of tell me what the differences are, but because I have so many people that I already am in contact with that do FS economy, if I was going to jump into something like that, that's probably what I would do. But I definitely will look into it, and if you want to give it a little plug, and anyone else who's checking us out today can take a peek at it too. Anyway, so let's get on with the first leg. The second leg is going to be from Midway, then down this way to Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is down here. But we'll get into that flight planning after I get down to Chicago. So let's get to it. Come over here. We can get our checklist going here. I've already kind of synced the controls and gotten everything set up to where my hardware and my software levers are all matched up. I'm going to get connected to VATSIM, X Squawk Box, and connect. Everything here is correct and current. There we go. Should hear the video game sound saying that we are connected. Oh, you know what? We won't hear the video game sound because I didn't start that first. So now we will start that. And then we will go ahead and get the show who's online. Where is that? There we go. So we do have some VATSIM controllers in the area. We knew that. We looked at VATSPY. We saw that. The next thing to do would be to set the fuel load. For the two legs, I am calculating a starting fuel load of 559 pounds of fuel. So let's go ahead and get that set here. We'll get just as close as we can. 557. Yep, 2 pounds shy. We'll deal with that. We'll bump the payload weight down just a touch to keep us within the max gross for the plane. Done, and apply changes. All right, let's get into the cockpit. And we can get the, so we already know the yokes are working. We'll get them out of the way. We'll get the battery switch on. The beacon lights and nav lights can come on, and panel lights as well. So beacon, nav, and panel. Prox, prop, and mixed levers can go forward. I keep losing my place. Trying to watch my phone too. Like I said, work maybe texting or calling at some point, so I'm kind of distracted. Battery switch, beacon light, nav lights, panel lights, prop, and mixed levers. Okay, so we'll get the engines fired up. Oh, why do the fuel boost pumps? Why are they on already? Okay, they should be off. Let's start the right. The process is as follows. We'll get the fuel boost pump on. We'll get the magnetos turned on. We will check the area, make sure there's nobody around. Fire up. Okay. Good. We will watch the temps and pressures. They should be headed into their normal ranges. What is... Okay, good. Alright, as they start to stabilize, we'll get the right alternator on and right fuel boost pump off. Then we'll repeat the process on the left-hand side. We get fuel, we get electricity, we get a clear area, we get motion. Alright. Temps and pressures immediately start heading towards their green ranges. And as soon as everything looks like it has started to stabilize, left one's taking its good old time, getting stable, but it looks like everything is running smoothly, so we'll go ahead and get the alternator on and the fuel boost pump off. Get the avionics master and the prop sync on, and we can engage the pitot heat as well. I always like to turn the marker beacon sounds off. I don't need those screaming at me on short final. In low IMC, you might leave those on. And the cow flaps should have booted up wide open, but you definitely want to make sure that they are. Let's get our flight plan filed onto the network here, X Squawk Box, and send flight plan. We are IFR, we are not a heavy. Pop this down into slant alpha because that's what we are. We're starting at Madison, MSN. We are headed to Midway, MDW. Our alternate is going to be Fort Wayne. That's just the next stop in our two-leg flight, so I'll just put that as our alternate anyway. Cruise altitude for the first leg, I think I slated it for 7,000 in my little planning chart there. Departure time, we are thinking we should be, hope to be airborne, let's see, at 2040 local time here, which is 1940 local time in the in Madison, Wisconsin. 19 and 6, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 01. So it's, yeah, 01, we'll say 0140. We think that the flight time for this first leg is 59 minutes, just under an hour. And the fuel for the two-leg flight plus alternate plus contingencies plus reserves is starting at 4 hours and 51 minutes. Alright, the route for this first flight, as I had showed you already on the map, MSN, Victor 9, Victor should have had a V8, nope, should have had a V9. JVL, Victor 24, and then Northbrook. Nope, that's OBK, right? Make sure I spelled all that right. We'll send that. Alright, temps and pressures are still kind of making their way, but looking good. We have both engines running, right? Yep, okay. RPMs sync is there. Alright, good, good, good. We'll check the ATIS or the METAR here at Madison. I'm not expecting that we have a Madison controller online, and probably means we don't have an ATIS for that as well. That is me. And no, there's nobody. And I don't know which of these two we're going to contact, 35 or 46. Maybe check their website and see if there's a sector map that tells us which of those is appropriate. Or we can do this. 5. All low, surface to 230. What's 46? Doesn't say. So it sounds like 35 is our best bet for the moment, if that's accurate. So anyway, we'll give him a shot. If he's the wrong one, he'll let us know. But anyway, so there's no ATIS online for Madison. So let's just do a METAR observation at KMSN. 060 at 14 knots, so a pretty brisk wind. 060. We got a couple of little cloud layers and overcast at 6,500. Altimeter's 3038. We can go ahead and set that. Ooh, it was very low last time we flew. 3038. 3038. Now the charted field elevation at Madison is what? 887, and that's very close to what we're showing on the altimeter, so that's good. We'll obtain our clearance, and who did we say we were calling? Get back to that VATSPY. So we're going to call 3487 for that. We'll give that a shot. 3487. Alright. Get that little
Sailing 6 Delta Mike, proceed direct Haley.
Get that little tone that tells us we're connected to the voice room, and see what they say about the flight plan. You gonna read back the direct daily? No? Okay, alright, I'll jump in then. Chicago Center Baron 514 Delta Victor's on the ground at Madison with the weather, IFR to Midway.
Baron 514 Delta Victor, Chicago Center. Good evening, sir. You're cleared at Midway International Airport. Via radar vectors Mike 0 November. Time maintain 7,000. Departure with me, squawk 1323.
Okay, cleared to Midway via radar vectors to Madison. That is filed. We'll climb and maintain 7,000. Departures 134, 0.87 and 1323, Baron 5 and 4 Delta Victor.
Baron 4 Delta Victor, readback is correct. You can expect runway 3 for departure. Advise the frequency ready to take.
Expect runway 3. We'll call in a few for taxi. Baron 514 Delta Victor, thanks. Okay. So yeah, pretty much route as we filed it, no problem. And no big surprises there. So let's get on with getting set up. We'll get the transponder turned on. We'll get the code set in, which is the one he just gave us, which was what was it? 1323. Okay, 1323, and we'll pop that up into altitude mode. Let's see, next. Nav and ADF tuners is needed. We need to go ahead and set this this VOR here, which is the Madison VOR. And that is, where's the frequency for that? Hello? Oh, there we are. 1086 and a 161 outbound is the Victor 9. So 1086, 161. Let's see if I can remember those numbers for 5 seconds. 1086, I think, and 161 over here. Almost set to that already. So there's 160, and we'll go one click more, that's 161. Alright. We were given runway 3. That does look like it's going to be the most favorable for our winds from, what were they, 060, I think? Winds were 060 at 14, so yeah, runway 3 is our best bet. That, get an idea what our taxi plan is going to look like here. We're over here on the east ramp somewhere. I'm assuming we're either Charlie or Juliet's to Bravo, and then southwest on Bravo to 3. Something along those lines there. Let's see. So that's in the what's the magnetic heading on that? 031.6 or 032 really? I want to save that. Nope. So we'll set the heading bug. Now, actually, no, there's no departure procedure, so it's just runway heading that we'll set here on the heading bug. 032. And that's just to help us once we get airborne to just steer to that and make sure that we're remaining on runway heading, unless he gives us something else. But for right now, we'll assume we're going to get runway heading, and we'll have that ready. Looks like we might actually get off a few minutes early. I had said push at 8:30 and wheels up at 8:40. We might get airborne just a few minutes early here. We'll see how that goes. What's next in the hit parade? Oh, where'd my checklist go? So we set the nav and ADF tuners. We set the heading bug. Flight control check would be now. You'd make sure that everything is moving to its full ranges. Somebody out back would tell you whether the elevators and ailerons are, elevators and what's the other one called? Oh yeah, rudder. But make sure that those are moving for you as they should. But yep, flight controls are checked in and ready. And we'll go ahead and turn the taxi light on. And we'll go ahead and set our takeoff flaps. Alright, set and checked. Boom. Ready. I'm ready. You ready? We all ready? Everybody ready? Alright, we're facing north. That means if we're going to go westbound and pick up either Juliet or Bravo, I guess we're turn around that way. That's probably Juliet ahead of us. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, Juliet or Charlie, the Bravo. So that's probably the north end of the ramp there. That's probably Juliet. So maybe plan on going over our left shoulder to where I assume Charlie is. All right, let's let this guy know we're ready to go and get underway. Step of the Red Bull. Guys, 1 second. Bear with me. Be right back with you.
Hey, Chicago Center, good evening. Twin Cessna, November 1457 uniform.
Twin Cessna 57 uniform, Chicago Center.
In Chicago 57
Alrighty.
uniform on ground Dubuque, Delta Bravo.
Back with you. As soon as this conversation's over, we'll jump in and we'll get our taxi clearance.
Charlie.
Freight co-pilot has entered the
57
room.
uniform, Chicago Center.
Hey,
Good
puppy.
evening.
Oh,
Your
gee,
Sierra
you're wet.
06 Charlie.
You've been playing in the
Bravo.
snow, have you?
Radar vector Coleman, Bio Papa, Lima. Climb and maintain 7.
Oh my goodness.
Departure this frequency. Squawk
Alright,
1
grab a bite of dinner while I'm waiting for these guys. Yummy, yummy mashed potatoes. You gonna read that back? No? Give me 5 more seconds. No? Alright, I'm jumping in. Chicago Center, Baron 514, Delta Victor.
1452 uniform.
Of course. Chicago Center, Baron 514, Delta Victor, we're ready to taxi. That's him.
Uniform. Can I have a read back, please?
Action uniform direct, clear to Schaumburg, Polo VOR that is filed. The 7000 departure with you.
Now.
324 the squawk, 57 uniform.
The delay
is correct.
in VATSIM communications causes that. You think your channel's clear because it is, but by the time you've jumped in, somebody else has already jumped in a second and a half ago that you haven't started hearing yet. So that's what causes that. But it sure is frustrating when you got a guy ready to read back his clearance and he waits 30 seconds to do that. Whew. Anyway. And Chicago Center, my apologies, sir, for jumping all over that. 514 Delta Victor, ready to taxi, runway 3.
4 Delta Victor, not a problem. Runway 3, taxi via Charlie, Bravo, Bravo 4, cross runway 32.
Charlie, Bravo, Bravo 4, and cross 32, Baron 514 Delta Victor. That's exactly what we knew we were going to get, so. Yeah, so that is, that issue with the lag in comms is something that's been going on for a while. Pat Dog is saying, when's the update coming for VATSIM? Well, you know what? It's one of those things that many have asked and few have answered. I do know that there have been a half dozen or so somewhat successful tests of the new communication system. And so progress is imminent, but as with all things,
Skyline 6 Delta Mike.
you know, it's just, it's contingent upon the amount of time that they have to test it and code it and tweak it and test it some more. So, I mean, I do think that probably first quarter 2019 is not unreasonable based on just the, you know, the progress that I've heard is being made. But, you know, like with anything VATSIM does, they don't talk about specific release dates or anything like that. You know, everyone complains about the quality of the audio. To me, the audio quality is fine, especially once you kind of know what's going to be said. It's a lot easier to pick it out. I haven't had any trouble understanding VATSIM controllers in years and years and years. But that lag, that delay, that buffering delay or whatever it is, that causes us to be constantly talking over each other when we don't realize it. I mean, if you were instantly able to tell that you were talking over somebody, you would instantly be able to stop, and it wouldn't go on for a second and a half before both people realized that they were talking at the same time. That's what exacerbates it. I mean, you know, common courtesy is when you hear someone else talking and you realize you've jumped in on them, you stop. And that's kind of what just happened. But, you know, when it takes that long to figure it out that you're both talking at the same time, you know, and then the whole message has been out and it's got, you know, it's frustrating. But it is something that there is an end in sight for. You know, I would say we should look for it. Like I said, I think first quarter in 2019 shouldn't be unreasonable. It's been actively being worked on for almost a year, at least 6 months. I think it really became a hot topic after Flight Sim Expo when POSCON Network did their demo, and really started showing that they were a serious player in trying to put together an alternative network to VATSIM. And I think VATSIM took notice and really got their act together as far as starting progress with some of those improvements. Big Stig number 5. Stig, is that a let's see, what was the name of that auto series? Is that Top Gear? Is that a Top Gear reference? Anyway, I do appreciate the fun.
Advise this frequency ready for departure.
Wilco, Baron 5, 14 Delta Victor. Got my call sign there for a second. But yeah, so Big Stig, yeah, Top Gear, is that the right series? Stig was like the mystery test driver. I don't know, I never watched it, but I had some friends that were into it. Where am I going to? What's this? Bravo 4, that's the one he told me. So yeah, we're going to pull up to the whole short line here. Bit of a taxi out procedure on the Baron. It's pretty much all at the whole short line. It's the run up, so we'll go ahead and get that underway here. It's a real quick one. Let's get the brakes, power up, pop one magneto down, up, let's pop it down a second notch, make sure the engine doesn't sputter and die under one magneto. Either side, left or right. Repeat the process on the left side. Come back, make sure prop lever works. Prop lever goes back up, and we are good. Big Stig, it happens to the best of us. I'm a larger gentleman myself, so no shame there, bud. Right, so we're ready to go. We're gonna go ahead and get our lights and fuel pump set as soon as he gives us the.
Airline 6 Delta Mike reset transponder squawk 1.
As soon as he gives us clearance.
1325.
I'm flattered with I'm impressed with myself that I remembered that reference. By the way, like I said, I've never seen the show. I just had a couple friends that I used to be in touch with at my previous job that were big fans of it, and they'd talk about it all the time. So I don't know what depths of my memory I yanked that out of, but. But anyway, hey, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you checking in.
At Buke with the weather-related taxi.
Twin Cessna 57 uniform, runway 13, taxi via right turn on Alpha, cross runway 18, advise this frequency ready for departure.
Right turn Alpha, cross 18, and we'll give you a call for departure 57 uniform.
And Chicago Center, Baron 514 Delta Victor, holding short runway 3 at Madison, ready to go.
Baron 4 Delta Victor, wind 06014, turn right heading 140, runway 3, clear for takeoff.
140, clear for takeoff, runway 3, Baron 514 Delta Victor. Okay, so setting the heading bug to 140, as you may have seen me do as soon as he said it. It's just I'm going to zoom in and just make sure I got it there. Okay, good. I'm going to go ahead and get our landing lights on, taxi light off, strobe light also on, and fuel pumps on, 1 and 2.
Chicago Center, good evening, United 837, flight level 301, descending flight level 240.
Okay, get aligned.
United 837, Chicago Center, good evening, descend via...
Flaps are set and checked.
Arrival.
Just come up just a little bit, make sure they respond normally and symmetrically. And they do, and we'll go ahead and set our takeoff power.
Descend via the flight 5, landing east, 3031.
I'm gonna use some left rudder here. I got that wind from the right coming in that's trying to pivot me around. So, good amount of left rudder to stay on center. We're well past our rotation airspeed, so we'll get up and away. And pitch to maintain that 100 knots. Gear up. See, field elevation was just under 1,000, so when we get to 1,400, we'll get the flaps up, and then we'll start that turn.
Chicago Center, southbound, 21650, let's see, got a fly with 31.
Alright, there we are.
Southwest 2162, Chicago Center, good evening, descend via the Indy 4 arrival, across Indy at 6,000.
And we can also get our power down to 25 and 25. Oh, come on.
right across the
And the fuel pump's off.
southwest 2160. And southwest 2160 for speed direct Indian.
Puppy, you don't want to leave me, do you?
Say again for 2162. Southwest 2160
Alright.
for speed direct Indian.
Rolling out on that 140, which is what he gave us.
2160.
I'm just kind of eyeballing that off the heading bug there.
Chicago Center, Twin Vista.
We can pitch up a little bit. We've got good climb airspeed going, so we can pitch up just a little bit.
Twin Investment 97 uniform 050 at 14, fly runway heading for mainland 30 for takeoff.
Okay, yeah, now we're losing airspeed, so we'll
Runway heading clear for takeoff.
pitch back down. Center Baron 514 Delta Victor passing 2,900 for 7,000.
Baron 4 Delta Victor, Chicago Center radar pass. Proceed direct Janesville. Julian Victor.
Direct Janesville 514 Delta Victor. Alright, so that means that's this one over here. Hang on. So we're going to kind of ignore this Victor 9, and we're going to tune 114.3, and we're just going to go right there. So 114.3, oops, yeah, pop that in there. We'll spin the needle until it centers, and we'll fly that heading. Ooh, we're getting into some good turbulence here. So when you proceed direct in terms of a slant alpha navigation, you don't have anything to punch into the FMC. You just tune whatever they told you to go direct to, and you can spin that OBS needle until it centers, and that whatever radial it lands on, that's your direct path. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be a radial path that's on a chart anywhere. Just direct whatever radial you happen to be on right now, whatever imaginary invisible radial, because there's 360 radials on every VOR. They're just not all on a chart. You know what I mean? Infinite number, really, if you count fractions. But I guess in the sim world, you let tune into terms of whole numbers. But yeah, whatever direction we happen to be out from the VOR, just spin that till it centers, and that's where we are. I am going to
Chicago, Twin Vista, number
get the
145,
autopilot
for
and nav mode on, just because with this turbulence I kind of got my hands full here.
Direct Polo.
Nose down just a little bit. Puppy, what is the matter with you? Come here. Come here, puppy. Come here, puppy. Come here, sit. Come here. What's the matter? You're not happy being locked in here with me?
Baron 4 Delta Victor, the Rock
Yeah,
Center
he's-
3034.
3034 514 Delta Victor. So there's 370.
Delta
Bubba.
Mike, South
One to go on the altitude. And how far out are we from the VOR, by the way? 31, just over 31 miles. So we got a little ways to go before we need to worry about turns or anything like that. So the next thing will be to level off at our 7,000. We should have already started leaning our mix out. Didn't do that. But go ahead and get on that while we've got 300 feet to go. Exhaust gas temps should be kind of too far. You want to find out where they hit their highest reading, and then you want to go slightly richer than that. And there's our 7,000. Going to altitude mode. And we can pull power down to 22 and 22. And when I say power, when I give two numbers like that, first one is the RPMs. No, first one is the manifold pressure, which is controlled by the throttle, and the second one is the RPMs, which is controlled by the prop lever. So cruise my my checklist for the Baron, my cruise settings, I always go 22 on the manifold pressure and then at 2200 RPMs. So when you hear me talk about power settings, that's what I'm talking about. Now that we've leveled off, we're going to pick up airspeed. We should see that settle between 150 and 160 knots. What else do we want to do while we're up here? At cruise, we can let's see. Turn the landing lights off. I'm going to leave them on just because we're in a little bit of a weather here. Plus, it is nighttime. Even though I stream with, I sim with my settings set to day. It is nighttime, so other pilots might want to see me. I don't know if X Squawk Box transmits landing light settings over the network or not. But matter of fact, I don't think it does. But we'll just leave one. In the real world, if you're in poor visibility, you know, you probably want to leave them on just so you can be seen anyway. I had somebody ask me about that on was it on Discord? Yeah, it wasn't my Discord channel, but it was another Discord channel that I'm on. Somebody was asking me about that. So landing lights are not just about seeing the runway environment, they're also about being seen. So sometimes that's why I tend to leave them on when I don't really need them. So Furry Co-Pilot is locked into the office with me because Furry Co-Pilot Mommy, Mrs. Slant, has run to the store, and Furry Co-Pilot is injured. And Furry Co-Pilot cannot go up and down stairs on her own right now, but she wants to. She doesn't believe us. So she's locked in the office with me, and she's not happy about it. Once Furry Co-Pilot Mom gets back from the store, Furry Co-Pilot will be released from her prison. So if you hear her bark in the background, please don't panic that she is distressed in any way. She's just pissed off. Let's run through the cruise checklist just one more time to make sure I got everything while I was yapping there. Landing lights I left on. Just the mix I did. We can get the cow flaps partially open. That'll help us streamline a little bit, get a little bit of reduced drag. And I guess I should check the engine temps and pressures first. But yeah, they're good. They're nice and low. Cylinder head temps are nice and low. So we can close those cows up a little bit and reduce some of that drag. Man, she's really upset. I might have to pop you guys on mute real quick and maybe let her out to put the gate up or something. So give me just a minute to finish this checklist. So 22 and 22 on the power we did, and then we'll start our arrival briefing. So yeah, we're good on the checklist. I just want to make sure we can pull these up a little more closed. Just want to make sure that we watch these cylinder head temps, make sure I don't close them too much. And then I think I am going to jump out of the room and just let her have her way there for a second. All right, so let me get the controller's permission to step away, and then I'll be right back. And hopefully I have your all's permission as well. I won't be long, though. Now, Chicago Center, Baron 514 Delta Victor. Okay if we step away for about 2 minutes?
Airport Delta Victor, approve this request, let me know when you're back.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that's I think one of her bursts went over the frequency too. It's like, oh, a Furry Co-Pilot needs to go outside. All right, we'll be back in just a couple minutes, guys. Let me take care of her. Take care of her? No, you don't take care of her. Good way.
Dialing 6 Delta Mike across the field at 6,000 Midway 3031. Clear to descend across Haley at 6,000, altimeter 3031. Chicago Center, good evening, American 140 descending by 0230 to 200. American 140 Chicago Center, good evening, across Lakeview and 10 at altimeter 3031.
Crosswind at 10,000 and 303
was that for American 1314? That's from American 1314. Contact Chicago approach 13510.
Whew, okay.
Over to 135.
Back with you.
American 1314.
So, Big Stick, you were talking about being a bigger guy. Yeah, I just went up 2 flights of stairs and back, and that's why I'm huffing and puffing. That's my workout for the day. Alright, so still 14 miles out from our turn, which is good. Let these guys know that we're back. Chicago Center, Baron 514, Delta Victor, back with you.
The Rockville Senator 3034.
3034, 4 Delta Victor. Alright, the next thing that we want to do, I got a weather redraw there. So I'm told if any of you that are watching have updated X-plane from 1126 to 1130, tell me if you have, and have you noticed any improvement in the weather redraws. So I said from the beginning of the stream, I did not get a chance to update the sim today. But I got the notice just as we were about to go live that the update was available. So we'll get that done for tomorrow's stream. As a matter of fact, I'll probably start that right after we get off tonight, just so we have that done. But one of the things I was told would be better in the next update was the weather redraw issue of the clouds disappearing and then coming back in. So, so any of you have updated to the next version of X-plane, and can let me know if you've noticed any improvement in that. I appreciate your insights, and of course, like I guess 23 hours from now, I will find out myself. Do have active sky X-plane running as well, so we've got these cloud layers that are being, whoops, 3034, I just bumped that. I was trying to zoom out, and I actually accidentally bumped my altimeter setting there. So one thing I don't like about X-plane is that the wheel zooms in and out, but it also adjusts your controls. So you have to really be sure when you want to zoom in and out that you're not on top of the control at the time. Keep moving stuff around inadvertently all the time because of that. And with the FSX and FSUIPC, where I had a mouse look feature and zooming in and out, it was a different button. So that worked a little bit better. That's one of the few things that I did think FSX had right, whereas X-plane is a little clunkier to work with in that respect. In all other respects, I will probably never look back. Made the switch just a few months ago. Matter of fact, I've been streaming just over 6 months now, and I guess just around half of that, I don't remember exactly when I switched from FSX to X-plane permanently, but silverhead temps are up around the 200 level. We can close these just a little bit more. I don't remember when I made that switch permanent, but yeah, I haven't regretted it at all. Just going to kind of take a quick spin through the engine gauges, make sure temps and pressures are all good. EGT is where we want it. Fuel flow, we're still 22 and 22 on the power settings, so everything's looking good there. I did close those cow flaps up just a touch more, so I just want to kind of keep an eye on these EGTs. They're going to rise a little more. I just want to make sure they don't redline there. Alright, so we're 5 miles away from our next navigation change, our next nav transition here. We are almost at Janesville VOR, and then we're going to pick up the 108 radial headed out from it to join Victor 24 and head over towards the Chicago Bravo. So what did I just say? 108. Let's go ahead and get that set on the heading bug. There's 110. And we'll click it back to 108.
3502 for American.
So as we pass over the VOR now, it probably is not going to get any less than about 1 mile, because 1 nautical mile is right approximately 6,000 feet, and the ground elevation there is right around just under 1,000, like 800 or so. So when that hits 1.0, we're directly above that VOR. Oh, Furry co-pilot Mama is back. Let me mute one more second. I gotta tell her something real quick. Be right back with you guys.
Dragon 1 back up.
Dragon.
Alright, that was not Mrs. Slant Alpha that I was hearing. That was Slant Alpha, young Miss Slant Alpha that I was hearing. Anyway, alright, so we're just about to make our turn here. Pop the autopilot into heading mode. That will affect the turn. And then we'll set the 108 on the OBS.
Center Delta 305 sending 24.
We overshot the turn slightly, so we'll come back
Delta 30.
just a few degrees to get back onto that. Since we didn't overshoot it by much, we're very, very close into the VOR right now. So that correction is going to get us right back on it pretty quickly. Bro Zorro, is there a reason I don't fly in real life? Yeah, because it's really freaking expensive. I am a middle manager in the transportation industry, so I'm not drowning in disposable income, especially with 2 kids and a wife. So, yeah, it's a lot cheaper. You know, plus I'm kind of a bigger guy. I don't fit too well in cockpits of Skyhawks without, you know, shoving fat in places that fat shouldn't be shoved. So there's a couple of reasons. Mostly it's the money, though. But hey, I appreciate you dropping in and checking us out. Okay, so we're kind of back on that airway. And I've got it back into nav mode, so I've got it automatically tracking outbound now on that 108 radial out of Janesville. Let's just take a peek and see. It is a 20, wait a minute. Do we know? It's a 50-50 mile, 55, it's a 50-50. So Bro Zorro says, I was training in a 172 10 years ago, and you understand the size restrictions. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's really more the money than that, but yeah, it's also you know, I don't fit well in roller coasters and in Skyhawks. Anyway, so it's a 55-mile leg, and absent any marking to the contrary, we would make that navigation transition halfway. So what's half of 55 would be 27 and a half. Big Stig says expensive and a bigger guy also. Yep, so Sim will have to do. Baron 514 Delta Victor, go ahead.
4 Delta Victor, what you do when you take the run?
I can check that out and let you know. Nice. So I looked at this before when I was doing my flight planning, and it looked like it was coming in from kind of the wrong direction. So I'm just a little bit confused. Center Baron 514 Delta Victor, we are able to accept the mode of 6. I'm just not sure where you would want us to join it from.
4 Delta Victor, how
So they want us to change our routes. So the mode of 6. Like the closest one would be Davenport, it looks like. I mean, this isn't to scale, but it looks like the closest one would be Davenport. but I thought that was like, yeah, that's like way out here. So I'm just a bit confused as to why they would route us all the way down there. Let's see what he says. So for right now, we're tracking eastbound on Victor 24, but sounds like we might have a reroute pending. Let's see what happens. While I'm waiting for him to get back to me, I'm going to spin through my phone real quick, make sure I've not missed any messages from work. So like I said, I'm in the transportation industry here in the Baltimore area, and we got a little snow event going on, and so I'm expecting work call if the road's getting really bad up there. We might have to make some adjustments to our service, but if I do have to hop off and take care of that, it shouldn't be any more than just a couple minutes phone call, post announcement on our Facebook page and all that kind of stuff. Oh, my mic meter message is still on? Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Brozora. Appreciate that. Fort Delta Victor, fire away.
Baron 4 Delta Victor. Baron Midway Airport via weather vectors direct. Mike, India, November, Easter, Kilo,
Okay, cleared to Midway via radar vectors Minook and the Motive 6 arrival. Baron 5 from Fort Delta Victor.
4 Delta Victor, enable turn right heading 180.
Okay, I'm unable direct Minook, slant Alpha. I can go direct Joliet and intercept if you'd like.
4 Delta Victor, thanks. Redirect Joliet to join us.
Okay, direct to Joliet 5 from Fort Delta Victor. Alright, so 180. Yeah, I gotta remind these guys, you know, every now and then. Slant Alpha, there's a few things you can't do, and direct to an intersection is one of them. Let's see, heading. We'll join the Joliet 112.3. Now, technically, I do have this GPS panel, but I ignore it.
6 Delta Mike, thanks.
Let's see, Joliet 112.3. 11, 12, 3. And then let's get that tuned in and dialed in. Okay. So let's go back into nav mode. Alright, so what does that do to our navigation plan here? Okay, so this is kind of odd.
Chicago Center, could you 10,000 correct capacity.
This is kind of odd. So they have us going to Minook. Here, alright, let's draw this. Here's what they wanted us to do. They wanted us to come direct from wherever to Minook and then join the arrival, which takes us to Joliet. So what I said was, well, wait a minute. I don't have a GPS. I don't have a way of going direct to that point. What I can do is go direct to Joliet and then join the arrival. When I said that, I didn't realize join the arrival was, Joliet's the last point on the arrival. So what am I going to do? I'm going to come here and then go here and then go here? I don't know. So that's kind of bizarre. But right now we're just going to go direct Joliet. And I'm getting the sense that what will happen is we'll start getting radar vectors once we are close to Joliet.
Climate 230.
And that's only a 5-mile difference there. It's only 5 miles out. So, and these charts are a little deceiving sometimes because they're not to scale. You know, sometimes a leg like that would be like 50 miles, but in this case it's 5. So yeah, so that'll be interesting to see how they handle us. What's the traffic like? Let's just take a peek here. Doesn't look like they're getting too slammed here in Chicago just yet. But, I mean, I can definitely see where they would want us to come around to the south. So my original plan had me coming in to this side and then kind of down this way. And, you know, that can take you through the arrival and departure flows. Sometimes what they have you do is they go right over the airport. Because that's often, you know, everybody else is descending to or climbing from the airport, so passing right over it sometimes is the least high traffic area to be. But what they have us doing now is coming down this way and again this way. So it kind of does make sense. It's the stay the hell out of the O'Hare flow routing. But it's just because I'm slant alpha and I can't join right at this last point here. I'm just on a routing that doesn't make sense at the moment. But it's okay. We'll go direct Joliet, and then we'll just do whatever they want us to do after that point. Where are we? We're 47 miles out of Joliet. So we're doing fine. Let me just check this text. Manager at work says roads are still passable at this point, so business as usual for now. Couple more bites of dinner here while I have a chance. Sorry, you don't need to hear that. I'll tell you what, I'm going to mute the mic for just a second, slurp down a little bit more of this dinner, and be back with you. But I am sitting here if any interesting ATC messages. Yeah, we like business as usual. Well, we'll see how long it lasts. Brozero says we like business as usual. We'll see. We'll see. I'm going to mute the mic, but I am still here in case ATC talks to me. And if you guys say anything on the chat, I'll try and jump in and respond. So I am here, but just going to slurp down dinner real quick. Be right back.
Runway 2209, 260 PGG, Port Drone. American 2209, Chicago, good evening. Cross the street and 1 to 12,000, the over 033. Channel 1 2000, runway 2201, 2209. American 2236, contact Chicago Center, 11127.
Hold it under 121.
November 1 altitude, contact
Oh,
Chicago.
I'll tell you what.
135.
I put a little kick in those potatoes. Woo, nice. Red Bull number 1 down. Red Bull number 2 commencing. Now that I actually start having viewers on these streams, maybe I should repetition them for that sponsorship. They'd pay me like 50 cents a stream for my half dozen viewers. Alright, so I was kind of giving you guys just the view out the window while I was eating. And boy, there's just such lovely scenery in this area. Now, speaking of scenery, I did install a freeware update to Chicago Midway, but could not get the ortho to download. The internet was just not cooperating with me. Interwebs were not my friends. Big Stick says, holy, stay awake. Red Bull at this time, be up all night. Yeah, I have built up quite a tolerance to it, I think. And it's it's the sugar-free Red Bull, and the only reason I drink that, it's not because of the caffeination effect, honestly. It's just the only diet soda that I can stand the taste of. Which sucks because it's expensive as hell. Maybe if I gave that up, I could afford to do some flying lessons for real, but but dropping some of this weight's a bigger priority at the moment. So yeah, it's just the only diet drink, the only diet soda drink that I can stand. So, but yeah, heck, I consume more than enough of it. I keep saying, you know, they ought to sponsor me. Wouldn't be unheard of. They sponsor a lot of stuff in the aviation realm, right? The Red Bull air races and such. Is this work texting me or is this wifey texting me? Alright. Everything's good. But anyway, yeah, no, I would not expect that a stream of this caliber. Well, all right, let me say it a different way, because I think this is a very high caliber stream. It's just not a very high viewership stream. That's the different thing, right? The most popular things are sometimes not the highest quality. But anyway, I digress. That's a conversation for another day. By the way, guys, if you enjoy the stream, I'd certainly appreciate anything you can do to help pass the word.
Go ahead. Touchdown text. I'm having a little bit of a tough issue.
But yeah. So anyway, 20. What does that say now? 26 miles to Joliet, and I imagine what's going to happen is we're going to get handed off to approach. Approach is just going to start vectoring us. So I'm not going to worry too much about the arrival thing. It's just a little bizarre. They wanted us to come in on that last little 5-mile leg.
1,000.
But that's all right. Let's go direct Joliet, and that'll be close enough. Let's go ahead and start our arrival briefing since we've got a few minutes here. Pull up the ATIS for KMDW ATIS. We got the little video game tone that tells us we've got information Quebec. 080, 14 gusting to 22. Ooh, nice. 4 statute miles visibility with snow and mist. Is that what it said? Light snow and mist. Overcast at 1700, broken at 1200. 3031 on the altimeter. So yeah, those are the salient points there. 080, 14 gusting 22. Oh, it doesn't say arrival runway as you expect. ILS 4 right and 13 center. Yeah, hopefully 080 will get the 4 right. But we'll see what happens. It is time for us to go ahead and start pulling up these let's see what's set in. ILS 4 right or 13 center. I'm going to just go ahead and put both of those charts up. I just use the FAA page. Just it loads way faster for me. Okay, motif arrival.
Air Wisconsin 39
We got the 4 ILS 4, ILS 13 center, and then we get the airport diagram. Open that up, get that over here. If it ever wants to load. There we go. So yeah, Midway is it's San Francisco plus 1. The smaller San Francisco. Plus this little goofy thing here.
Number 4557, traffic, Chicago approach 135.
So with the winds at 8, I guess, yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? Because if the wind is from this direction, then it really doesn't matter whether we're landing in that direction or landing in that direction. Kind of 6 and 1/2 dozen of the other, right? But it's 14 knots. It's a pretty significant wind, so we'll have to just make sure we evaluate the anticipated crosswind when we figure out which runway they're going to put us on. So, we'll watch this unfold. 18 miles. 3031, Baron 514 Delta Victor. Yep, and that's what was in the 80s as well, right? Still got it in front of us. 3031 indeed. Okay, good.
Chicago Center, Warrior, number 32. Yes, sir.
Alright.
Baron 4 Delta Victor, traffic, Chicago approach
128.2,
128.2.
Baron 514 Delta Victor. 28.
Lindbergh 4597, if you're still with me, contact Chicago approach 125.
128.2. We should hear the video game sound after we connect. We'll check in with them with the information. Quebec, we lost a lot of airspeed all of a sudden. Wonder if I should pop on the de-icing. I'm not sure what's causing that, but I
71, Chicago first.
want to fall out of the sky, so.
And then if I want to out of Mike, are you able to use yours or not to rid
Airspeed's starting to come back up, so I'm assuming that's what was going on. We did hit into some clouds here and probably some icing. So
November 516 out of Mike, Chicago. Yeah, it's Challenge 6 out of Mike, people.
6 Delta Mike sound like he might be from down under. Chicago Center, Baron 514 Delta Victor, information Quebec level 7,000.
November 514 Delta Victor, Chicago first drive, expect I love 4 right,
3031, expect ILS 4 right, 5 and 4 Delta Victor. Alright, cool. So we'll start briefing that. That's over here. So we got 111.5 and 047. So we'll have that in mind. The field elevation is 620 feet. Minimums are 869 feet. So we'll basically just say
Remember 516 Delta, 718,
700 essentially for, I'm sorry, no, 900. Excuse me. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Come on back. Come on back. So minimum's essentially 900 feet for our purposes. And missed approach,
71 advised Lewis Airport, weather on board.
1100 and then right turn to 2100. Back to EON. So 1100, right turn, 2100. Those are the key facts we'll need to keep in mind for the missed approach. When we get down on runway 4,
Delta 305 to 718,
where are we parking?
Down 5,000.
We'll tell them, let's see, we'll tell them we'll go to the north ramp.
250 on the speed, Delta 305.
No, let's go to the south ramp. Just better taxiway access down there. So when we come off of 4, any of these right turns, and probably Yankee. Probably Yankee back to the ramp. Not expecting we'll need to go as far up as Papa, but with my landing technique, you never know. So right turn off if we land 1100, then 2100 if we should go missed. 6,000, 5 and 4 Delta. Alright, and we're just going to pop it into heading mode because we're 6 miles away from the VOR at this point. And then we'll nose it down, power down, 15 and 20.
71, now which picture is the director?
Don't need the motif arrival anymore because we just completed it by going directly to the last fix on it. Pardon me, guys. Sorry. Yeah, the airspeed recovered right up once I got the anti-icing stuff on, so I'm assuming that's exactly what was going on there. One more Red Bull for the road.
Alright, 250 till advised, cleared ILS 4 right, Delta 305.
71, 718.
So we see the VOR starting to show a little deviation, and I'm going to swing to the left a little bit just to get back onto the direct Joliet. We're also coming up on the assigned altitude they gave us of 6,000, so absent any clearance to descend any further, go ahead and level out, get back on 22 and 22 on power.
Delta Mike, turn right, heading 320, vector to funnel to 718.
Alright.
Second, heading to Delta.
Altitude hold on.
Number 1561, Delta Mike, turn right.
We got 22 and 22.
Cross heading
Let's, enrich the mix just a little. Nope.
71, turn right, 270.
Down.
514 Delta Victor. Park 2K, 7, Juliet, VOR heading to 090.
It's Park Joliet heading 090, 514 Delta Victor. Alright, well, pretty much at Joliet now, so That means turn to 090 now.
Delta 305, resume the
Since we're no longer on that arrival, we can go ahead and start setting the ILS, which is 111.5. And course was 047. We'll get that set here. Don't have it, well, we got a DME on it. Don't have localizer and glide slope on it yet, but we do have a DME. We're 28.5 miles out from the airport.
Verify 167 here, 5 miles from Chicago, turn right into 020.
So there's 040. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright. So that's set. Again, the minimums for our purposes are going to be 900. And this approach is 1100, then right turn 2100. Right turn off if we land. And the wind was, what was 0080, 090, something like that. So it's, yeah, hang on one second. Page back up, because I think it was 080. Why am I not seeing it? Oh yeah, 080 at 14, gusting to 22. So it's going to be a nice gusty crosswind, and for landing on 4, and the wind is from the 8, wind is going to be right to left. So right to left crosswind. Losing manifold pressure badly here.
Delta 305, connect Midway, Terminal 1.
Tower, good night. 05.
Reach 71, KMSN, 09.
Assuming we're having a carb heat issue. If we're losing manifold pressure, we're down to 20.
So 37 with the advice, Lewis Airport, weather,
I'd like a localizer for 9.
Especially 37 with
See a carb heat control. Well, it'll start descending soon because we're coming up on the airport, so hopefully that'll get us out of the icing conditions here. Got all the NIS systems on that the airplane has that I'm aware of. Now that's just an ice light. That's a wing light, basically.
Verify 14, Delta 3,
0605 report that to me. Manifold pressure continues to slip, down to 19. So we'll need to get a descent here soon, or otherwise we're going to start descending regardless. In that last transmission from the controller, you could hear his conflict that we're going off. Well, I'm not so sad that I didn't get the ortho scenery with the Midway package installed. I'm not going to see much of it anyway. 5,000, 504 Delta Midway. Alright, so nose down.
Number 5167,
Midway Towers, 18.7. I'm going to go ahead and preset that so when we get that switch, we'll be ready.
Number 737, this is Cavity. So there's no whiskey on. 737, this is turn right into right turn 280.
Drop the manifold pressure to 15 for the descent. Below that cloud layer now. Hopefully we'll get out of the icing conditions.
Your 514 Delta Victor, your 4 miles from Banner, turn right 060 to 718,
050 and 5000 until established and clear for the ILS-4 right approach 514 Delta Victor.
Six Delta Monk, pick up down on 7 if I was 6 Delta Mike, looks like you logged out for some reason. I don't feel aware of that. 0014, that's the runway 4 right below. Runway 4 right below.
Alright, it's coming up on that 5000.
514 Delta Victor traffic, got 1 o'clock, 1 to 2 o'clock, about 4 miles northwest of the system of 72
Okay, no way to see him at this point, but we'll keep a lookout 514 Delta Victor. Well, actually kind of do see his call sign. But yeah, I don't think we would have spotted him without that little cheat there.
So 3.
Alright. So we're just about to intercept localizer and glide slope. We're going to start reducing the speed now.
This 71 I mark midway to receive the time now 02270.
Glide slope starting to come down.
514 Delta Victor, ready 070, 718.
070 at 4000, 514 Delta Victor. And we were coming up on glide slope intercept before we got localizer intercept, so he gave us a little adjustment there. Alright, what do you say, guys? Gonna fly this thing for real now? No, excuse me. Going 10 degrees further right because I don't think he's accounted for the fact that I've got this vicious crosswind right to left. That's why I haven't intercepted the localizers yet. But there we are. Now we're established. Localizers coming in. Glide slope's pretty much on. Let's kick auto out of the cockpit. My airplane, heaven help us all, guys.
Tower 7164 Chicago, first time, we'll go right past it.
Start pulling the power back.
Full short, full right,
But we're going to start getting the props and Follow the descent. Let's level the plane here. Back on the center line. Back on the localizer, rather. Now with the speeds down to 120, we'll go gear to flaps 1. Line 4 right, 514 Delta Victor. Alright. Get the props and the mix slowly back up to forward. Alright, we're back on the localizer. Let's get back on this wind correction. Descent rate seems to be good for the moment.
City 164, runway 4 right line.
4 right line, way 7, starting 60.
Alright, so minimums, what did I say? We're 900 feet essentially.
Fly 16 out of Mike 1. Midway right on 8.
Another marker. See it flashing there?
Run on Yankee. Travis City 164 with 001. That's 1 quarter CT, wrong 4 right down.
I'm going to take off clearance rolling on our runway. We're still 4 miles out, 4.5, almost 5 miles out.
Victor, 707 moving from the park party wrapping up.
Copy, caution, wake turbulence 5 and 4 Delta Victor. Yeah, we got enough turbulence to worry about. Alright, gotta get the descent going a little bit more now. Slightly above glide slope. Still pretty good on the localizer though. As soon as I say that, we're drifting right, so let's get back on the localizer. I'll tell you what, these hand-flown IMC approaches, man, mentally taxing. All right, now we're too low. Let's get the nose back up. Still don't have that second notch of flaps down either.
Travis City 164 radar contact.
Oh, okay, there we go. Runway in sight. Let's go second notch of flaps. Flaps are set and check. Gears green.
Travis City 164 radar contact. Stay off.
So this 3164, 3000.
Travis City 164 radar contact.
Right turn off if we go land. 1100, then 2100 right if we go missed.
Chicago, focus for your November 324.
Try and get get the speed down to 85.
Number 32-403, Chicago first, welcome aboard the area December 3032.
Remember, it's a right crosswind, so the road is kind of pointed over towards that taxiway. Yep.
There's number 737 whiskey, turn left at 180.
Left turn 180, 737 whiskey.
Australian friend just vanished on us.
Southwest 3164, contact Chicago departure 125.6.
Chicago departure, Chicago 07764.
Good.
Alright, let's start bringing it back over to the center line here.
Number 737 whiskey, verified, center maintain 2000.
Center maintain 2000.
737 whiskey, you're 5 miles from Hobby, clear left at
Not too bad. Tires didn't sound too happy, but I thought it was okay. Oh, I never did get the fuel pumps back on. That's okay. Oh, well. Fuel pumps I usually have on for takeoff and landing. I forgot to get them on there when I got that second notch of flaps down.
Southwest 1685
But
descending.
we'll stow the flaps. Ordinarily, we turn the fuel pumps off at this point.
South 1685, Chicago approach, expect forward right approach, midway altimeter 3031.
Oops.
3031
crossing
ILS 4
runway.
right, Southwest 685.
Let's get the heck off of here. Alright, landing lights off, taxi light back on, get the strobes off, fuel pumps would come off if you had remembered to do that. You can get all the anti-icing stuff off now, and we'll just check in with him. Yeah, I was happy with the landing. Probably shouldn't have turned onto that crossing runway without asking him, but let's see. Which crossing runway are we holding short of? 31 left. Okay, so that's 13, right? Approach Baron 514 Delta Victor is vacated 4 right on to 13 center and then Yankee. We're holding short of Yankee. Holding short of 13 right on Yankee.
Air 514 Delta Victor, welcome to Midway, cross runway 3 left to Yankee, and Yankee to the gate, have a great one.
Cross 31 left and Yankee to the gate, 514 Delta Victor. We'll talk to you in a few. We're going to go flying again. So Big Stick says, nicely done. Thanks a lot. Learned a lot. Thanks for the stream. Thank you very much for the kind words, Big Stick. I appreciate that. You'll be following us on YouTube as well. Well, that's awesome. You can see all of our past broadcasts there, yeah, I pretty much upload them right as soon as they're done. So yeah, you can definitely check us out on them. You just wouldn't be able to interact with us live there. That's the only thing. Live shows are always on Twitch, and then the archive goes straight to YouTube afterwards. So I appreciate you checking us out. I am going to do another leg here, so I don't know if you want to stick around for that.
Southwest 55.
But do appreciate you joining us, man.
3000 or 6000. Southwest 55, 51 Chicago approach, expect ILS 4.
Went down to the south ramp. So we just passed Yankee 2, and we'll make the next left here. Yankee 3, I guess this is. Pick a spot, park, and then we'll start getting ready for our second leg. Oh, I'm driving through a helipad. Whoops. Put a helipad right in the middle of a taxiway like that. That's a little odd. Alright, tell you what, let's just pick a spot over here on the side of the ramp. We'll get parked. And we'll start getting ready for our next leg. Hi, Big Stick. Hey, thanks again for stopping in, man. Hope to see you again soon. And, definitely say hi anytime you're on with us on Twitch, or, get with us, say hi on the YouTube videos or however you want to. But do appreciate you joining us. Alright, parking brake on. Let us run through our checklist here just to get fully shut down now. Taxi, lights can come off. See, what do we do on our taxi end? We stowed the flaps, we did it. Landing lights, strobe lights off, we did. Taxi light, we did. Fuel boost pumps, never got them back on. Pitot heats off, taxi lights off, and we'll check the fuel and ETA. ETA I had said, ETA I had said 9:39 local time on the ground and 9:44 on the blocks, and we are right in the middle of that. We actually did get off about 6 minutes early, so our flight took about 6 minutes longer than we expected, primarily because of that reroute. It says we should have 425 pounds left in the tank. Let us see how we did. Bet we're pretty close to that. 413, so we're 10 pounds short, but that is definitely close enough for government work. We'll take it. So, good deal. Everything's going according to plan so far, which is, which means we're tempting fate, right? Let's get on up here to the next checklist, get flight plan number 2 filed. We're going to go, how was the traffic? Yeah, the traffic in the O'Hare is definitely picking up. But down here at Midway, we're just kind of staying a little quieter. Alright. Get the flight plan number 2 filed. Let's see what we're doing here. I'll file it first, so that'll give them a minute to chew on it and decide if they want to reroute me. But then I'll show you guys what it is. Send the flight plan. We are at Midway. We are going to Fort Wayne. FWA. Alternate there is going to be Dayton, Ohio. Cruise altitude for this one's going to be 9,000 feet. Airspeed is the same. Departure time, we're thinking, we'll get off probably 10 o'clock. So that's 0300 Zulu time. We think this one's going to be about a 1 hour, 18-minute flight. And at this point, the fuel remaining is 3 hours and 41 minutes. Routing for this one, I will show you on SkyVector in just a few. I just want to get it filed. Now there is a Midway 5 departure. That's a generic vector departure, so we expect that will be part of our clearance. But we don't file it that way. We just go right to that first VOR, which is EON, Echo, Oscar, November, Victor 38, and then Fort Wayne VOR. We'll go ahead and send that. Just to show you that route before they change it on me, which I expect there's a chance that they will. Let's go ahead and blank this out and throw that into here. Midway, and then Fort Wayne, and then what did I say? EON, Victor 38, Fort Wayne. Is that what I said? Yeah. So it's pretty much straight southbound out of Midway. And then this Piotone, Piatoni, I have no idea. EON VOR, that's what we're going to call it. Eastbound on Victor 38, and then it's pretty much a straight shot from there right into Fort Wayne. So that's a fairly straightforward navigation plan for this one. I will show you the So there's the airport diagram. The Midway 5, it's just the generic vector departure out of Midway Airport. So typically you wouldn't file it as part of your route, but your route would have to include one of these fixes here. Like for the reason, actually, you know, I might have done, you know, this VR here. What is this? What is that, Terre Haute VR? Can't even see the label. I think it's the Terre Haute VR. Let's go. Yeah, I don't know. Right click it. Chicago Heights, that's what it is. 114.2. So you might have gone like Chicago Heights and then, you know, this way, eastbound along Victor 422, which looks like it might have been a little bit more of a direct path. But when you look at the Midway 5, Chicago Heights VOR isn't on here. So when it's the way that the air traffic control works, they want you routed to one of these points off of the airport to join your your en route routing. So, and of course all these are RNAV points, so that doesn't help us. That doesn't help us. You know, we don't have a GPS, or we don't use the GPS that we have. So none of those help us. So this is the one that's closest to the direction that we're headed. So that was the one that I was kind of stuck with as far as starting my route. So that's why we went the way we did. So the Midway 5 departure, Piotone, and then this Victor Airway, Victor 38 eastbound. So when at any time, this is just me. Anytime you have a route that it's like it's multiple airways, I always just go by the first of the two numbers. But either of these is correct. The reason you see that is because, like, if you get down here further, you'll see that Victor 38 and Victor 144, you know, they go separate ways. 38 goes this way, 144 goes this way. So Victor, they both come in here, and then they, you know, one goes that way, one goes that way.
4240 Chicago approach, expect vectors ILS.
So it just makes it easier. Instead of having to file a bunch of different airways, you can just be on the 38 going out in this direction. You just be on the 38 from back wherever, which way you were. So it makes it a little easier instead of having to file a different Victor airway for every segment. So some of them just end up being more than one airway at a time. See that a lot, actually. See here it's Victor 38 and 156, and 156 splits off here at this point called maps. So, and it just, you know, it just means you can file one airway, and it's a shorthand. You're going to follow that one airway all the way through. But in our case, that's what we got. Okay, we ready to get rolling with this thing, guys? Try and get off in the next 10 minutes. We'll see how we do with that. I followed the flight plan. We can get the pitot heat back on. We'll check the ATIS. We checked the ATIS inbound, but maybe it has updated. So we'll
Chicago approach, good evening, Southwest 5238,
ATIS, KMDW, ATIS.
Southwest 5238 Chicago approach ILS 4 right, Midway altimeter 3031.
Nope, don't have one.
ILS 4 right and 3031 on the altimeter, Southwest 5238, thanks.
We got a Midway ground. Oh, we probably should have been talking to him. I don't know why I didn't have us talk to him. Oh well. Well, we'll get our clearance from him though. 121.65. But there is no ATIS listed here. We'll check the METAR. It's probably pretty similar to 080 at 15, so it's not gusting anymore.
Southwest 1685 cross banner.
Visibility is now 5 statute miles, light, snow, and mist. broken 16 overcast
Cross
20.
Bear 5,000, cleared
So
out
the
114,
weather's
right
improved
114,
slightly. It's
35.
still 3031. Okay, so we're still there, good there. And field elevation charted is, what is it, 620, and that's pretty much exactly what's shown on our altimeter, so we know we're good there. All right, let's go ahead and get our clearance. What did I say ground was? 121.65. Let's go ahead and talk to him. Midway ground, Baron 514 Delta Victor. We got the weather. We're IFR to Fort Wayne. Midway ground, if you responded, you were extremely quiet.
November 514 Delta Victor, stand by for 1 moment.
All right, mute the mic for a second. Slip down the
November
last. Oh,
514,
never mind.
your IFR cleared, are you ready to copy?
514 Delta Victor, affirmative.
November 514, Midway ground, you are cleared to the Fort Wayne Airport, Midway 3 departure. Radar vectors to Eon, then as filed. On via the SID, altitude 3000. Departure frequency is on 128.2, squawk 1323.
Okay, cleared to Fort Wayne via Midway 5 departure. Radar vectors Echo Oscar November, then as filed. Climb maintain 3000, expecting 9000 in 10 minutes, 128.2, and 1323, 514 Delta Victor.
Five one four Delta Victor, read back correct. Push and search your discretion. Advise and ready for taxi. Expect runway 4 right for departure.
We'll expect 4 right. We'll call you in a few for taxi 514 Delta Victor. Okay. Now the only kind of little thing I didn't give the perfect phraseology on that readback. So his instruction was climb via SID, and then he clarified by saying the top altitude was 3000, which he shouldn't have had to say, because when you look at that SID, Midway 5, what does it say? Top altitude 3000. So he says that probably by way of saying, hey, this is VATSIM, we know not everybody reads charts. So he just made sure that I knew that. But anyway, so he said climb via SID, top altitude 3000. And I read it back as maintain 3000, expect cruise altitude in 10 minutes.
3801, Midway ground.
Which is fine,
Four
it's all
right,
correct.
Yankee, you are cleared across the 3-1.
Right, 10 minutes. So everything I said was correct. However, when I read it back, I should have just said climb via SID.
Alright,
But
4 right via Yankee, cleared across, 3-1 right, cleared across, 3-1 center.
you know, a few extra words isn't always a bad thing. I try to do when you're on radio on aviation, you try to keep it concise as possible. That's why we have these SIDs. It reduces the amount of talking you have to do. So yeah, the idea is to reduce the necessary verbiage. But in the case of VATSIM, a lot of times they put extra words in just to make sure that everything is clarified and pilots understand what they're supposed to do. So, anywho, as we continue on, we have obtained our clearance. We'll set our squawk and transponder, which was already the same code we were assigned, so we'll just keep it. Set our nav and ADF tuners. We're direct to that EO and VOR. 113.2 is the frequency, so we'll get that set. 113.2 and swap. And we're just going to go direct to it at first. So I'm assuming it's almost dead south. So yeah, there we go. Oh, 100% dead south. Of course, when we get airborne, it won't be exactly dead south, and they may vector us around a little bit. So whenever we get clear direct to it, we'll just recenter that needle, and whatever imaginary radial we happen to be on, we'll just follow that. So when you go direct, and I explained this on the first leg, but just in case you weren't here for that, when you go direct, when you're navigating slant alpha, you're radio navigating to a VOR, and they tell you to go direct. You just spin this until it centers. You don't have to be on a particular charted radial. You can just be on whatever imaginary radial in the sky that you happen to end up on, and then just when you spin it and that centers, that's where you are. That's the radial that you're on, and you just follow that in from there. So that's the easy way. You just spin that till it centers and follow that arrow. That's when they give you direct to. But it's gonna change slightly. Once we get airborne, we're gonna be going to the northeast, and then who knows where they're gonna vector us. And then it's, we may not end up still like directly on this 180 course to it at that point. So, anywho, once again, I tried. Man, that's 2 anywho's in about 5 minutes. I used to hate people who said anywho. I have become that which I hate. My apologies to everyone on stream right now. Oh, we dropped a viewer. Man, yeah. Too many anywho's, you'll scare the rest of your viewers off, I assume. Ooh, I love that. Floating it a little, oh, you know what? He probably didn't float it a little long. He's just, So, the next version of X Squawk Box that comes out is supposed to fix this ground elevation issue. But for right now, we do have the issue of the floating airplanes. It's not too bad here at Midway. I guess that's the elevation difference from one sim to the other is not that much. Some airports it's really bad. But the next version of X Squawk Box is supposed to fix that, normalize the ground elevation, so we won't see that. But again, that's another thing that's like the ETA for release. It's just whenever it happens. Alright, so back to what I was saying. So we set nav and ADF tuners as needed. Set heading bug is needed. The departure, what does it say about... Now here's a good example. Ordinarily, you're departing off of runway 4. You're going to set the heading bug to the runway heading. Well, in this procedure, that is not the correct thing to do. Okay, because you're supposed to turn right heading 100 after departure. So that's what I'm setting the heading bug to. Okay. It's more critical in your airline flights. Don't fly runway heading if that's not what the departure says to do.
Southwest 1685, taxi gate via Yankee Tango.
When you're setting up that MCP at the beginning of your flight and you set it to runway heading, well, that's not necessarily correct. You actually have to read the departure that you filed.
Contact Midway Tower 118.7.
All right.
Great weekend.
So 100 heading after departure because that's what the procedure says. We'll check our flight controls. We assume that everything wiggles and waggles the way it's supposed to. Somebody out back of the plane's checking the elevators and rudders for us. Everything's good. Taxi lights can come on. And we'll set flaps 1. Alright. Now back to the airport diagram. We expect that our taxi plan should be fairly straightforward. We're down here on the south ramp somewhere. We expect it. We're going to go westbound Yankee 1, and then we'll be right there for right. So what are we facing right now? I'm facing north. So I'm assuming that, yeah, that's probably the whole short line for Yankee 1 right there. And Midway ground, Baron 514 Delta Victor, ready to taxi. Alright, while we're waiting on him, I'm going to go ahead and do the run-up. Normally don't do that on the ramp. But I'm just going to do it just to have it done. Magneto's down. Oh. are ready to taxi, sir.
I 14 Delta Victor, departure runway 31 center. Go ahead, taxi via Foxtrot.
Okay, we're going off 3-1 center now via Foxtrot 514 Delta. Okay, that's a change. So that means we now need to rebrief our departure procedure. 3-1 center, runway heading 318. Okay, very good. So we can change this heading bug now, 318. There's 320 and then down 2 clicks. All right. Is that grass there? I'll tell you what, we're taxiing through it. Cool. Nice. Rotate, positive climb, gear up. Good deal. Alright, so when we take off 3-1 center, we got a wind kind of coming over our left shoulder, or right shoulder rather. That's going to be interesting. So we're going to just accelerate really kind of gently here when we get to the takeoff roll, because I'm going to just need to really ease in that.
4 Delta Victor, contact Midway Tower, 187, have a great weekend.
18-7, thanks for your services, 514 Delta Victor. Alright, so 18. Seven, and then what was our departure frequency? I think it was already over there in the swap. Probably shouldn't have done that. Let's see. So 128.2 is our departure frequency, so I've got to get that preset. All right. Did the run up. Midway Tower, Baron 514, Delta Victor holding short 3-1 center, ready to go.
November 514, Delta Victor Midway Tower, on departure, turn left, heading of 180, wind 08014, runway 31 center, clear for takeoff.
Left 180 and clear for takeoff 3-1 center, Baron 514 Delta Victor. Alright, so change the heading bug again. Fuel pumps on, landing lights on, taxi light off, strobe light on. Away we go. Alright, y'all ready for this? Okay. Temps and pressure's looking good. Set our takeoff power. Little left rudder to stay on center line here. Woo. And I'm really easing it into the takeoff power because get this bad wind correction going here. Airspeed is alive. We're looking for 85 knots rotation. And there it is. Got positive climb gear coming up. Field elevation was about 600. So as we pass about 1,000. Flaps up and start that left turn.
Number 514 Delta Victor, turn left heading 270, maintain 270.
70, 514 Delta Victor. Alright.
514 Delta Victor, contact approach 128.2.
18-2, 514 Delta Victor. Or 28-2.
Reduce speed to 180, Southwest 135.
Southwest 18067, maintain 5,000.
25, fuel pumps can come off. Start leaning the mix out. Just for that 100 knot climb. Midway departure, Baron 514 Delta Victor's passing 2,100 on to 3,000.
Verify with 4 Delta Victor, Chicago departure, radar.
We're just going to hold this 270 heading. Until we're told otherwise, and we need to start getting ready to level off as well. So there's 3,000 coming up.
Southwest 4240, contact Midway Tower 18.7.
18.7, Southwest 4242.
Southwest 1806, cross banner 5,000. Good
So,
island.
see now that they've got us going westbound. You know, our direct radial to that VOR has changed. We're gonna get this
Verify 14 Delta Victor, turn left heading 220, maintain 4,000.
220 4,000 514 Delta Victor. All right.
Southwest 135, turn left heading 220, Victor.
Turn left heading 220, Southwest 135.
Oh, shot it. 220. There we go, 220, and 3,700, so 300 feet to go there. Manifold pressure is still very low.
Southwest 135, turn right into
I'm assuming I've got some sort of a carb heat issue going on.
Everything
But I don't know where the carb heat
30
control is on this aircraft.
Southwest 135.
Hopefully this doesn't become a
It's 135 negative.
continuing issue here. And then we're through our assigned altitude of 4,000. Let's get back on
Southwest
it.
135, heading 320.
Southwest 1806. 514 Delta Victor,
130, 6,000, 514 Delta Victor. Alright, back up to 25. 130.
Southwest 135, continue right turn heading 05.
050, Southwest 135.
Southwest 1772 to 1785.
As soon as I get stabilized on this 130 in this climb, I'll pop the autopilot on. I gotta check that text message, make sure it's not from work. Telling us we're shutting down our bus system. Some of you guys that caught me from the beginning heard me say I work in the transportation industry here in the Baltimore region and get a little bit of weather right now, so I gotta make sure that that's not work telling me I need to put some social media messages out. Let me
Southwest 135
get stabilized here on 130. Let's get the heading bug set so that when I turn the autopilot on,
Say
it'll
again,
keep that for
Southwest
me.
135.
Southwest 135, proceed or
Alright.
stay on Charlie Ave.
Autopilot, heading,
Alpha Delta Oscar November.
and then let's just go ahead and get in here
Copy
and
that. Proceed
make sure that's set on
to
130.
resume normal speed, Southwest 135.
And we're going up to 6,000, and I'll check the phone here. What we got? Oh.
Air 514 Delta Victor, stop maintaining
7,000, 514 Delta Victor.
Southwest 135, maintaining 4,000.
Down to 4,000, Southwest 135.
Southwest, who's there? Southwest 3141 Chicago, 35. Southwest 135, cross Caden at 4,000 Corvallis, for
Clear ILS, 4 right, Southwest 135, cross Caden at 4,000.
Southwest 1806, military, 73.
Alright, so I'm back with you.
514 Delta Victor, good right at 180, contact Chicago Park, 12510.
180, 125.0, 514 Delta Victor, thanks. 180, 125.0. So just for curiosity's sake, what is a direct path to WOR? At this point, it's there. Chicago approach, Baron, 514 Delta Victor is passing 5,000, almost 800, going to 7,000.
Air 514 Delta Victor, Chicago Park,
900,000, 514 Delta Victor. Okay. Direct, yeah, 170, then direct PO turn, 514 Delta Victor. Just go direct there now, because we can do that now. And, yeah, I'm glad he pronounced that for me first, because I wasn't sure. PO tone, I guess. Of course, the possibility is he has no idea either. I don't know. So, if anybody knows where carb heat is on this aircraft, I am assuming that is why I am losing manifold pressure. But I don't seem to... Ooh, still have those cow flaps half closed too. That's alright, engine temps seem to be okay. Defrost, yeah, that control doesn't work. Alright, I got a work call here, guys. Let me mute the mic for just a second.
Chicago departure, good day. Time to leave off again. 6:15. Bearing 4 Delta Victor, County Chicago. We're going to look at 90% every Chicago fracture radar contact on 8 sound.
we got 133.62 United States.
Yeah, I guess I'm back with you. I got a little bit of work I got to do here, but let's
1033, checking in direct style southbound.
let's make this navigation turn here first of all. So coming off of this VOR PO tone, we're a 096 radio outbound. Let's get that done, and then I got to start putting some social media announcements out for our bus service.
I'm heading vectors for 30 center approach.
Go into heading mode.
Chicago approach Delta 223 with flight 5 just through 14,000 or 11,000.
096. Okay, there's that. Looks like we turned a little early, so let's
Delta 223.
correct back out and get on that airway. Do want to check in with the controller, just kind of let him know that we are indeed here, because I don't think he saw my text.
Center right 3031, Delta 223.
Alright, airway's coming in. Lever it off, we can get power down to 2.
Northwestern 1033, can we have 9 right as well?
2. Temps and pressures all look good.
I'd appreciate it. We'll expect the 9 right approach tempo.
Go into nav mode.
Butterfly heading 300, 1033.
Chicago approach Baron 514 Delta Victor. Apologize, it was a work call, but I am with you now. Level at 9,000. Affirmative, sir. $34.87. Okay, thank you. All right, so I was on that work call. Got bounced around a couple times to the wrong frequency because I wasn't quite copying what he was saying. So, whew. All right, let's get checked in, and then let me go grab my work laptop and start sending some messages out here.
Okay, 135.07,
And Chicago Center, Baron 514 Delta Victor. I think we're on the right frequency now. Level at 9,000. 3032 514 Delta Victor. All right, direct Fort Wayne 514 Delta Victor. And is it okay if we step out for like two more minutes? Sorry about that. That's what I figured. Thank you. All right, so direct Fort Wayne, if we can. Let's get direct Fort Wayne 117.8. Go into heading mode. 17.8. And there we go. 110 miles out. We're still picking it up, so we'll go nav mode and go direct to it.
Chicago Center, Boeing 737.
Okay. Mute the mic 1 second, grab the work laptop, and I will be back with you while I'm doing all that, so
Boeing 737 Chicago.
won't be leaving you guys in the lurch. I'll be right back.
United 5843, contact Chicago 135 from 135.07. KBM 02 Echo, squawk number 335.
1335 and clear IFR to O'Hare via radar to Northpark direct, or Northpark direct, 510 10,000 at block 135 for TMZ Quebec.
KBM 02 Echo, repeat spread to continue.
Affirmative, we can accept 7 months TMZ Quebec.
02 Echo, find experience ready to expect 7 months.
Oh, we call for Jack, expecting 7 months TMZ Quebec.
Chicago Center, United 3568 with you at level 240 on the Shayhorn.
I'm back with you guys. I'll let the controller know I'm back once he's done having that conversation.
Shane at 1.
But now I'm gonna get my work laptop fired up here.
Just looking for 12. There, keep your 12,000.
Yeah, so I don't. If you guys weren't part of the stream from the beginning, I had mentioned that I work in transportation here in the Baltimore area, and so the work call was about the weather that we're getting, and I got to just get some social media messages out just to let our folks know that our buses are going to stop running in about 2 hours because it's getting just a little messy out there. Logged on the laptop, get a little sip of Red Bull, keep me going here. Oh, I still got to let the center know that I'm back as well. Progress update. Now, one thing that I wanted to mention real quick. He said proceed direct to the airport. The only reason I'm able to do that as a slant alpha aircraft is because there's a VOR right there at the airport. And even still, technically, I guess, well, I mean, I guess that's co-located enough that, you know, I wouldn't need to call them out on the difference. Now, if it's a situation like Abilene, Texas, let's blank this out. We'll go to KAB. It was the airport we flew into a couple streams ago, last stream or sometime recently. So, in the case of Abilene, airport's here, VOR's here. So I would have had to say, I'm unable to direct the airport. I'm slant alpha. I can proceed direct Abilene VOR if you like. But in this case, you know, we have a VOR right there next to the airport, so we can kind of just go direct there because of that. So when you're slant alpha, you can't. Of course, and again, I do have this GPS panel, but for purposes of my stream, I pretend that this isn't there. I wish I could put a virtual post-it note over it or just shut it off. But yeah, so I fly this as though it does not have that GPS, and I navigate only on the radio navigation techniques. But, you know, like I said, in this case, we are picking up the Fort Wayne VOR this far out. We can go direct to that VOR using the slant alpha radio navigation technique I described earlier. You just spin it till it centers and follow it. Whoops. And so we can do that just because that VOR does happen to be right there. And we got 98 miles to go. So while I've got really not much else to do for 98 miles except start briefing the arrival, I'm going to go ahead and mute the mic again and get these messages out about our service, and be right back with you in just a couple minutes. But I am here in case you guys have some questions on the chat you want to put in. I'll be able to pop back in and answer them, or if the controller calls me, I guess I should let them know I'm back. But yeah, so I'll be here just doing a little work, and then I'll be right back with you guys. We'll start the arrival briefing.
Chicago Center, American Quarter, 5, 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 0. That was American 49.
That's how it is.
American 49, 5, Roger, Hotel, 3031. Drive 17, get to direct a little short, 7 left, Pat, Victor, ready to go. And then, you with American field left here? Zero to Echo, fly heading, fly runway heading, runway 7, left, clear for takeoff, and 080 and 1. Quick takeoff, 7 left, India, clear to Echo, fly runway heading after departure, and do you feel familiar from Milwaukee by chance? 7 course, 3039. 3039. United 9250, contact Chicago approach 135.02. Same to American 1314, contact Chicago Center 121.27. Oh, yeah, 121.27, American 1314. Chicago Center, American 5, did the, I'm sorry, what was it called? 4975. American 4975, I'm not sure. Probably expect 105. Alright, thank you. KLM 1805 USD. Baron 49 Victor, Southbound Alpha 3033. Thank you. November 32403, wind 05013, runway 7, clear land. 403, clear land, runway 7, contact. Contact Chicago approach 135.076 for your patient. Okay. American 1340, if you're still with me, contact Chicago Center 121.2.
So, should we get anything else on 14?
Direct Northwest TV is your out. Delta 1465, are you with me?
Yeah, from Delta 1465 with you, passing 286 for 240, wind 8, arrival.
KLM 18 here by Madison, 1710. Delta 1465.
Cruising at Delta
Back with you.
1465 with you, passing 270 for 240, windy 8, arrival.
Not sure that last announcement went out or not. Got on our Facebook page, and it got on our tracking app.
Speed 250, Delta
So-
1465.
Hopefully that'll be good enough. I'll check our website and see if that other announcement got up or not.
Firebird 601 hitting Madison. American 437, contact Chicago approach 135.07. 135. Southwest 3504, contact Chicago approach 128.2.
Chicago Center. Good evening, this is KLM 612, climbing KFWA 180.
Apologize for the silence, guys. I'm kind of just letting my boss know what's going on.
KLM 612 Heavy Chicago Center, climbing KFWA 230 for delivery. Roger, resume no speed on 113 for pilot. Dylan. Function. Delta 1455, contact Chicago approach 135.07. Boeing 737 is correct.
Okay. It got on our website also. So, I've done everything I can. And hopefully our passengers get the word that they're going to be stranded if they don't get the ride in the next hour and 45 minutes. Yeah, it's not the city of Baltimore I work for. It's a smaller agency, private agency, but a pretty big institution that I work for. So, yeah. So we got a few thousand passengers that
230.
probably want to know if we're not going to be running. So, apologize for the behind-the-scenes look there, but just suddenly have to do my job while I'm flying. Now that we're back, take a spin through the engine gauges. Temps and pressures all look good. And I think at this point, 74 miles away from our arrival. It's a little early to start the arrival briefing, but we can always want to be ahead of the game rather than behind it. Let's just kind of peek in on the event. Let's see how we're doing here. Oh, Nico is up and flying.
128.2.
There's our weather redraw. So I'm told, as we get the clouds, coming back in, I'm told that for tomorrow, since we will be updating from 11.26 to 11.3, my understanding is that those redraws are a lot less abrupt in the new version of X-Plane that just came out within the last couple of days. I did not get a chance to update it before we went live tonight, but I'm going to probably get that running after we get off the air. Get that update started so that we'll have it nice and good and ready and tested for tomorrow's stream. So tomorrow, as we do some flying in up in Wild, Alaska, we should be running on the new X-Plane 11.3 version. So shouldn't see those weather redraws as abrupt, from what I understand. I guess we'll see how that goes when we get there. I guess the Saturday night VATSIM events maybe aren't as well attended as the Friday night ones. I don't know. Doesn't look like. I mean, it's not. I'm not trying to diss the controllers. Obviously, they're very busy, especially 9 departures waiting at O'Hare still. So that's not an insignificant amount of traffic, but it's just not the crush that you sometimes see on Friday night ops events. So I'm glad they got a decent turnout, but it's not as busy as that I have seen some events. And by the way, the highlighted aircraft here are known Twitch streamers, known to me Twitch streamers. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're streaming right now. It just means that I happen to know that they have a stream and have streamed in the past. DAL213 tends to stream pretty regularly under that same call sign. So you can probably pop over and watch his arrival into Midway if you want. Unless you want to watch me crash in Fort Wayne. Anyway, so let's start our briefing into Fort Wayne here. We are, let's see, back that out. And again, I always just use the FAA's digital terminal procedures. It's a real quick way to pull up the charts. I like the way the charts are organized. There's the Fort Wayne Airport. I guess general aviation parking is on that west side there.
Chicago approach 128.2.
So the bottom end of that west ramp, just off of taxiway Charlie 2 there. So I guess that's what we'll aim for. I'm not yet sure what runway we'll be arriving on. We'll kind of start figuring that out now.
United 25 Chicago maintain 12,000.
Let's get a METAR observation for 080 at 18. I can't read that. Let's get it in front of something dark. 18 gusting to 26. So yeah, we got another nice gusty arrival. 08. So we got a runway 5 and winds from 08. So I think that's probably what we'll plan for is a runway 5 arrival. Let's go ahead and get the nice long runway. So I'm sure there's an ILS approach. Yep, there is. So we'll get that in front of us as well. ILS or runway 5. Kind of start looking at the basics here. 111.9. We can actually get that set in the standby frequency here. 111.9er. Approach is 050. Course. The field elevation is just over 800 feet. Minimums are just over 1,000 feet. Missed approach is 1,300 and then right to 3,000. And then if we're landing runway 5, it is going to be a left-hand turnoff to our parking area. With a 080, crosswind is going to be coming right to left again. So just like we had into Midway, we'll need to kind of point the nose over to the right, and then you know, as we get closer to the runway, we'll get the heading lined up and, you know, kind of right wing it in to touchdown with the nose pointed straight down the runway at that point. But yeah, it's a right to left crosswind, a pretty significant one, and again a gusty one too. So another type of landing like we saw in Midway just a little bit ago. So that's what we planned for. Now obviously the weather could change. We still got 59 miles to go. So we've got about a half an hour, maybe a little less, maybe 20, 25 minutes before we arrive there. And METAR updates are usually at the top of the hour, so we might rebrief just in about 20 minutes and check it out. But that's what we're going to plan for. We're going to plan for ILS runway 5 and left-hand turnoff and minimums of just over 1,000. And what was the mist?
Chicago Midway.
Mist was 1,300 and then right to 3,000. Okie doke. Sound like a good plan? We'll see how it goes. We'll check that METAR again, you know, maybe in about 10 minutes, right at the top of the hour. The METAR updates in the real world come out right around now, and then it takes just a few minutes for them to kind of propagate over into VATSIM. So we'll check, you know, just right around the top of the hour, you should see the METAR updates hit. Just check the phone here, see if Big Boss responded. Big Boss did not respond, but hey, he's been notified. That's the best I can do, you know. 3031, and we'll expect ILS 5, 514 Delta Victor. Thanks. Good. We expected because that's what we wanted. Of course, it's possible he's watching the stream, and he already knows that I wanted runway 5. So, with that wind, though, I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer that that's what I would have wanted. So, anyway, all right. No response to the boss. Boss probably in bed. Boss probably figures I have a handle on things, which I do. Good. New to this job. I've had this job 6 months, so this is my first weather season with this particular agency. Worked for another bus agency down in the DC area before then, and had quite a few years in with them. So I kind of know how to handle things, but still kind of establishing that relationship with the new boss here. So. But key thing is, my drivers will be safe. They're going to come off the road in about an hour and a half, and you know we've done everything we can at this point to let our passengers know that. So again, has nothing to do with the stream, just real world creeping in and taking over a little bit. But 110 514 Delta Victor. All right.
Chicago
So.
311, sending you to go past 1 arrival.
So we're in heading mode. Did it switch over? Yep. We always want to watch the annunciator and make sure. So now that we no longer need this VOR, we can. I'll tell you what. Let's do something a little tricky. We'll get the ILS tuned. 111.9, 050 on the course. However, for DME, since that VOR is co-located with the field, let's go ahead and set 17.8 on nav 2, and then we can still have that DME there. So we'll still have a countdown as to how far out from the field we are. And then when we get closer and we can get to the ILS, when that starts popping in, we'll switch this back over and we'll get our DME reading off of the ILS. But for now, we at least just have that ballpark reading as far as our distance from the field. And again, that's because we got that VOR set on the nav 2 rather than the nav 1. But given that we're on a heading now, we don't really need to don't really need to do anything with that VOR. That DME countdown is really just for informational purposes, planning purposes. I'm gonna mute the mic just for a second and scoop down the rest of this. That's the last couple bites of this food here. So bear with me. Be right back.
Chicago Center, do you happen to have the Milwaukee altimeter on you?
303.
3039, thanks.
United 325, contact Chicago approach 135.07. Baron 4 Delta Victor, going to maintain 2,600 before wind altimeter 3031. United 325.
So you guys heard that. We got our descent there. 2,600 is what he said. And then he gave us the altimeter setting as well. But salient point there. That's my new word of the day, salient. But the key point there is 2,600. So that's what we're going down to for the moment.
American 311, speed 180.
New speed 180, American 311.
American 311 is going to maintain 2,700.
1019, 2700, American 311.
I love it. Cold potatoes and warm beverage.
American 311.
Oh well. I need a kitchen in my office.
Weird Island, Emirates Coast, and Conjuration heading one more time for American 311.
So anyway, yeah, we started our descent down into Fort Wayne now, and we've already briefed the approach and the arrival. So we're in good shape. I did say I want to check that METAR again. So the METAR, the first thing the METAR says is the time. So it's coming up on 11 p.m. Eastern time, which is where my ass is parked at the moment.
TWA, Chicago.
So what's that in terms of Zulu? 4 a.m. So we're looking for a METAR that's updated 3:50 something Zulu time, right? So let's see.
Chicago Center, good evening.
METAR KFWA.
220, direct bearing. Convention 953, Chicago Center.
So KFWA 130254.
12,000.
So that's 3 a.m. So that's 10 p.m.
303.
So that's still an hour old. So the more recent observation hasn't quite made it into VATSIM yet. But if we check that again, in about 5 minutes, we should see it. Should see an update to the 350-ish one, 350-ish observation. So we'll take another peek at that in a couple minutes. Phone go off again, or is that my imagination? Nope, that was my imagination. My paranoid imagination.
2387.
So manifold pressure's creeping up as we descend, so let's keep that down to 15. Start leaning the mixture back out. Exhaust gas temps are way down because I'm not paying attention to that. it peaks and then just push it just a little bit further forward. Cylinder head temps are down because we're at lower RPMs, but I don't want to forget to open those cow flaps up later, so I'll go ahead and do that now. It's going to add a little bit of drag to us, but it's going to make sure the engines don't cook when I rev them back up for the approach. Get some cooling over the components there by opening those cow flaps back up. What else is on my descent checklist? Landing lights on, which I don't think I ever turn them off, so they're still on good.
American 387 Chicago Center.
Enrich the mixture, which we're doing. And then the approach briefing, which we've already done. So, yeah, we're going to go here. Go here. 2,600 was what he gave us on the descent. I'm sure that's probably because it's a published altitude on the approach. Yep, what do you know? Whoops, where'd it go? Come back, Jack. There we are. Yep, so you might have thought 2,600 was an oddish, an oddly specific altitude for him to give us. 115, 514 Delta Victor. But it's because it's the published initial altitude for the approach. So he wants us 5 degrees further right, because probably we're not quite on a good intercept heading. That was probably a wind correction that he just gave us. Still 29 miles out from the VOR. Let's see if we've picked up DME off the ILS yet. Nope, we have not. Let me just double check I have that. Double check I have that tuned to the right frequency, but this far out it's not unusual. 111.9, yeah, it's correct. Not unusual that we wouldn't be reaching that ILS. Receiving that ILS just yet. We're just about 1,000 to go now on the altitude. 2,600 is what it gave us. We're at now 3,700, so we're 1,100 to go on the descent here. Now 3 after the hour. Let's see if we can get an updated METAR. Yep, 354. So there's the updated METAR. 10 statute miles visibility, overcast 1,200 feet. 3030 is the altimeter. I'm going to go ahead and set that. He hasn't given that to us over the air yet, but I'm going to go ahead and set it now. Oh, where'd it go? Wind is still, what, 070 at 16. So slightly better aligned with the runway, but slightly higher wind speed. So we're going to have quite a... that's affirmative.
American 311 with 08013, runway 7 right, clear.
So, yep. Getting into that gusty wind. Here we go.
Chicago Center, United 2012 with you, level 260 to level 240, crossing ugly.
Crossing ugly. 514 Delta Victor is well beyond ugly. Alright, so 2,600. Let's go ahead and get it. Altitude mode. Power up to 20 and 20. Normally I do 22 and 22 for cruise, but because we're
looking for Indy
getting ready to start our approach, I'm going to get the speed down, so we'll do 20 and 20.
Disregard. We got it. Cross India, that's 6,000 feet, 2012. My apologies.
Still no DME on the ILS frequency yet. Actually, I should look.
Normal speed 230, vector 23.
Yeah, so actually, look at this. There is no DME on this ILS. The DME reading on this is from Fort Wayne, New York.
Direct to Indy as well for United 12.
Fort Wayne 6.5.
Direct echo.
So, yep, I've already got tuned and set exactly the way I need to set in order to have DME reading for this approach.
American 311, 080,
Clear lanes and maintenance, 311.
United 324, contact Chicago approach 135,
Still 20 miles out, so I don't want to slow down too much yet, but
American 23, contact Chicago center.
121.27, American 23.
yeah, you can see we're getting shoved around quite a bit. Some good gusts there. No, the updated MEDAR did not say gusting winds. It said, just said, what did it say? 070 at 16. So, as we get closer to the surface and out of these clouds, hopefully that wind will settle in and we won't have quite the fluctuation that we have now. But right now, as we're passing through this cloud layer, we're getting tossed around quite a bit. Hope you guys got your air sickness bags. They are, I don't know, that's, what is that, vinyl seats? So that's easy cleanup. That's good.
American 311, welcome to Milwaukee,
No glide slope or localizer indication just yet. Still 18 miles out though. Expect to see them. Expect to see the localizer once you get in within about 15 miles, maybe. Assuming you're approaching from somewhere in the vicinity of southwest of the airport. We can do this too. We've got the VOR tuned on nav2. We can kind of see what our current bearing to the airport is by flipping that around until it centers. So we're pretty much straight due west of the airport. And he's got us on a heading that's 30 degrees right of that. So definitely getting into an intercept on that localizer. So as the bearing to the airport gets down closer, see, I've got a ticket. Another notch left every few minutes. Once it gets down closer to where it's 050, we'll know we're about to intercept that localizer.
Delta 1949, runway 7 right, taxi Bravo, and Alpha, advise the frequency ready for departure.
Bravo Alpha,
Center Getty, Southwest 33 is level at 8,000.
Southwest 283, Chicago Center, return level 800, maintain flight level 230, proceed right to go.
Alright, so see, we're continuing to deviate to the right of this radial because we're not proceeding direct to the VOR, But as I click it back another few degrees, basically saying our bearing to the airport is becoming lower as we, yep, we just got localizer.
3507.
There we are. And again, we should not have a DME on that. We don't, yep. I've got to keep the VOR tuned for the DME. So as our bearing to the airport gets lower, and like I said, as soon as it gets kind of down to the point where it's closer to 050, we'll know we're close to that localizer intercept. Kind of got down to the target altitude a little early. I think I want to point out real quick, the placard in this aircraft says 45 X-ray Sierra. I see on VATSIM a lot of folks flying under the call signs that are painted on the side of the plane on X-plane, like the default liveries for each plane. A lot of people fly on VATSIM with those call signs, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I just wanted to let you know that on VATSIM, other players are not seeing you as the aircraft that you are necessarily. They're seeing you as an aircraft that is installed on their sim, that their sim and their pilot client is using to represent you. So it may or may not have the same call sign of what you think you are appearing as, and it also may or may not be the same call sign as the one you're calling yourself. So you don't necessarily have to feel compelled to call yourself by this call sign or the call sign that's painted on the outside of your pretend airplane, because whether other people are seeing you as that, it may or may not be happening. What your pilot client will do is put a little text label over the other players to let you know what their call signs are, and those are based on how they're logged into the network. So I don't know how well I'm explaining that, but the point is, you don't have to feel compelled to limit yourself to using just the call sign that actually appears on your plane. You can use whatever. You can kind of use whatever call sign with very few restrictions. You can kind of use whatever call sign you want, but if you want something realistic, in the U.S. at least, this is kind of the format that a general aviation call sign takes, and I use 514 Delta Victor all the time, regardless of what the one on my airplane says. But yeah, I mean, other players may or may not see me as this 45 X-ray Sierra call sign. So that's why I always kind of feel free to use whatever call sign I choose. And 514 Delta Victor is just the one I use for this stream. Good. And we should, 11 miles out now, we should be getting this intercept and approach instruction any second. So you can see our bearing to the airport is now 060, so we're only 10 degrees off. I would expect we should be getting this approach clearance any second now.
TWA 147 at pilot discretion is going to maintain 11 on left altimeter 3034.
Alright, we're about to blow through this localizer. He didn't give us the approach clearance. I gotta verify it with him as soon as he's done talking. Chicago Center, Baron 514 Delta Victor. Did you intend to clear us through this approach, sir?
4 Delta Victor, turn left heading 050, maintain 2,600 until establishing the localizer clear island, runway 5.
Okay, no problem. So left to 050, it's cleared, yeah, 2,600 until establishing, clear for the ILS 514 Delta Victor. Thanks. So, yeah, we actually overshot because he kind of, I
And
think
if you
he,
can't make it, let me know. I'm trying to control you. Sorry about that.
no problem, we'll get him. Alright, so overshot and we'll turn back and get on it, no problem. And at this point, we're getting close to the point where I'm going to just go ahead and fly it by hand anyway.
TWA 1 Chicago.
Below 120, we can go ahead and go gear down flaps 1.
TWA 1
And we're re-intercepting, so we're good. Okay, we'll start increasing the prop pitch and the mix. And we'll go ahead and kick auto out. My airplane. Say your prayers now. Alright, let's not fall out of the sky just yet. Oh, Jesus. And we're still getting...
Baron 4 Delta Victor 07016 runway 5 clear.
Clear line runway 5, I'm 4 Delta Victor. Yeah, we gotta get power up here. Back on the localizer, back on the glide slope.
Runway Delta 1949 is airborne climbing through 4,000.
And we're well below, and I'm just having trouble keeping engine power. And I think it's because of icing. So we might be in trouble here. Close those cow flaps and get some heat in these engines.
Good evening, Chicago Center. Southwest 420s with you, passing 6,000 for 15.
Southwest 420 Chicago Center, resume normal speed, climb and maintain flight level 230.
High normal speed and up to flight level 230 for 14.
Runway Delta 1949 is airborne climbing through 8,000.
Alright. Now the clouds. Speed's still a little low. Manifold pressure still low. Temps are still low. Yeah, our engines are not happy. I'm assuming it's an icing thing, carb icing probably. So we're going to lip our way in, but we're going to do it. Trying to keep as much on below speed. I just don't. My throttle's maxed, so I'm just trying to lose as little altitude as I can here. I haven't gone to that second notch of flaps yet. Hopefully now that we're out of that cloud layer, engines will warm up and we'll get some of that power back. We're kind of in trouble here. I think we're going to be landing short, guys. Loss in manifold pressure has kind of plagued me this entire time. It's finally come to bite me. So, I'm going to have to do a little reading. I have to do a little reading and figure out
49 Chicago Center, radar contact,
where the carb heat is on this aircraft. Because we're about to touch down. We're sure as heck not on a runway. Yep, there's a stall horn.
Oh, no worries.
See if we can sit up. See how close we're gonna. Yeah, we're well short of the runway. All right, hold on, guys. Alright, well, hopefully something we would have survived. But, this is my first crash in a long, long time in the sim world. Long, long time. Definitely my first crash on stream.
That was 283 Chicago Center.
But, yep. So the manifold pressure was, we were struggling to maintain manifold pressure the entire flight, and I guess it's, I'm assuming it's an icing thing. Don't know where the carb heat is on this aircraft, but that will be something we'll have to research. And especially as we're, talking about next week installing the reality expansion pack, and something like that will definitely come in to bite us if we're not managing the engine properly. So. Yeah, engine froze up on us. Temps dropped.
Good evening, American 469.
Manifold pressure dropped, and just got to the point where we just didn't have enough power to make it. We got a really early descent too, down to that 2600. I think maybe if we'd gotten that descent a little later, or maybe if I'd made that descent a little slower, I might have had enough altitude to glide it in. All right, well, learning experience.
Chicago Center, Southwest 493, climbing flight level 120 for 150.
That was 493 Chicago Center, climbing level 360, resume level speed.
Yeah, like I said, it's definitely the first crash I've had on stream, and first crash in the sim world that I've had in ages, years. So.
That was 3501 Chicago Center, resume. Headed 2012, contact Chicago.
Let's see.
135, 107,
So I'll tell you what, let's just
3507, adios United 2012.
2012, I give it a run frequency 133.62, my man.
3362 United 2012, no problem.
Chicago Center, Baron 514 Delta Victor. Crashed short of the field, and we're going to go ahead and disconnect right here. Thanks for your services.
5414 Delta Victor. Sorry to hear that. Have a good night.
I think everyone walked away. Good night. Well, now that I say that. Alright, so. Disconnect. Now we're definitely dead. Alright, I'll tell you what. Let's just call it a day right there. Okay, well, we can skip kind of the shutdown checklist, but let's at least see what the ETA was 11:18, and on the blocks at 11:23, and we're pretty much right on that, or would be had we made it there. And the remaining fuel was supposed to have been 253 pounds. Let's see what we really have at a weight and balance. 267. So fuel and timing estimates still worked out really well. What's that going to mean for me, though, is that I'm just going to need to just figure out where the carb icing controls are, and I'll need to know that for next time, so that if I run into that same situation, I won't look like such a big freaking idiot right here on Twitch TV. Oh, well. But anyway, so tomorrow we are going to be taking the Aeroworks DC-3 up into Alaska. So, yep, once again, definitely need to make sure we know where the icing controls are on that plane, which I think we do. Yeah, matter of fact, I know where the carb controls are on that. So, yeah, we shouldn't have any issues. We did actually last time I flew it, I had some icing issues, but since we did find the controls, we were able to recover it and land that flight uneventfully. That's the one we did out in Seattle just last week. So, we're going to take the Aeroworks DC-3 up into Alaska, and we will see you then tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, 0100 Zulu time. In the meantime, if you want to check our past broadcasts out, we are at, we don't have a custom link on YouTube yet, don't have quite enough subscribers for that, but we're working toward it. So if you definitely can help us out by subscribing to the YouTube channel and catch all our past broadcasts if you want to check any of those out. But if you just Google the title Slant Alpha Adventures with spaces in between, that YouTube channel will come right up. No problem. You can check in with us on Discord or on Facebook and say hi to us. And if there's any particular approach you want to see, or any airports that you want to see, or anything that you might want us to help you out with, if there's a certain flight technique that you want us to explain, or if you want us to go over how we do our flight planning, and anything like that, we'll certainly be happy to discuss, and then give us ideas for what you'd like to see us do on stream as well. So you can do that on our Facebook page or in our Discord server, which the invite link is down there on the lower right. All right, so it's this time tomorrow, or 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, 0100 Zulu Monday morning for the DC-3 flight into Alaska, and then Wednesday we're talking about maybe doing a flight down the Hudson River in the New York Tracon area, also on VATSIM. We're working with the VATSIM New York ARTCC to have air traffic control online for us on Wednesday night, so we can do something for you guys like that. Something either like a VFR flight down the river, or maybe an IFR flight out west in some of the smaller, more interesting Class Delta airports or something along those lines. We'll be back in the default Beech Baron for that, and hopefully we'll figure out what to do if the engines start to ice over, because I don't want a repeat of this one. All right, guys. Well, anyway, so we will talk to you again tomorrow, and again thereafter on Wednesday. We do appreciate you stopping in to check us out this time. And oh man, I still have the mic muted sign on. Jeez, the entire time. What an idiot. Yeah. So this wasn't my best stream overall in a lot of ways, was it? Whatever. All right, guys. Well, I apologize. We'll get back on our game for tomorrow, and we'll see you all then. Please travel safely in your own adventures in the meantime, especially if you're in the Northeast and dealing with some of this weather. But wherever you may be, travel safely in your own adventures, and we will see you again soon.